Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is in Berlin today to take part in talks with European allies ahead of the Putin-Trump meeting. Earlier, it was expected that the leaders of Europe, Ukraine, and the United States would hold talks online. The meeting will take place at 15 Kyiv time, Reuters reports. This was stated by representatives of the German government. The talks will be attended by the leaders of Germany, Finland, France, the UK, Italy, Poland, and the EU. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte will also participate. After the conversation, Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance are expected to address European leaders at a separate online meeting at 16 Kyiv time. At 17:30, an online meeting of the Coalition of Willing will take place. It is noted that during the conversation with American leaders, Zelensky and his European colleagues will try to convince Trump to take into account the interests of Ukraine and Europe during his meeting with Putin in Alaska. Let me remind you what the European Commission emphasized the day before. The EU has a clear position based on a just and lasting peace for Ukraine. The EU leaders adopted a joint statement stating that Ukraine has the inalienable right to choose its own destiny. The document was signed by 26 member states, all except Hungary. Prime Minister Viktor Orban said that Russia had already won the war in Ukraine. The only question is when the West will recognize this. He also explained that he refused to support the EU's joint declaration because the document calls for Ukraine's membership in the EU. The Hungarian Prime Minister recalled that in the so-called Vox 2025 referendum, the Hungarian people allegedly voted against Ukraine's accession to the European Union. He noted that he could not support a decision that contradicted the opinion of the people. President Zelensky also mentioned in his address why the position of only one EU country may differ from others. He emphasized that despite this, cooperation with all countries continues. There is a principled position of European leaders. There is a clear statement of the European Union, 26 countries. Everyone with us in diplomatic work, in principled positions, understands who is the 27th and who is always against everything just to be special against it. However, we are in contact and present our arguments to everyone. We are preparing certain steps to further mobilize our partners. A listening exercise for the U.S. president. That's how the White House describes the upcoming conversation between Trump and Putin. Presumably, this is how they plan to lower the level of expectations, as it was previously said that the talks between the two leaders would make progress in stopping the war in Ukraine. It also became known where Trump and Putin will meet in Alaska. CNN, citing two White House officials, reports that the U.S. president will speak with the Russian dictator at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson, located on the northern outskirts of Anchorage. The same sources said that the Russians also offered the United Arab Emirates for the meeting and considered holding talks in Hungary, but then the Kremlin finally agreed to Alaska. According to the White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt, Washington considers it an honor, and I quote, for the Russian leader to visit Alaska. There, by the way, Putin does not face arrest under the warrant of the International Criminal Court because the United States does not recognize the ICC and is not a party to the Rome Statute. To get to Alaska, the dictator's plane will have to fly most or all of the time over Russian territory, up to the Bering Strait, without crossing the airspace of the so-called countries unfriendly to Putin. In addition, according to Leavitt, this meeting will take place because Putin asked Trump for direct talks. However, according to the White House spokesperson, the American president hopes that a trilateral summit involving the United States, Russia, and Ukraine may take place in the future.